Check one, check two, since you know what to do. What's going on, family? Blessings, blessings, blessings. We are back in the building. Hold on. I didn't mean to do that. Very, 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 very late. Okay? Very late. Very late. Um, but listen, I made a commitment that I was going to show up every single day, and that's what we're going to do. All right? So I know it's late, so I'm going to get right to it, but I want to thank you again for tapping in. Those who are watching the replay, salute. Today, we're going to be getting right into batching, learning how to batch record or batch create your content like a pro so we can start working smarter and not harder, right? This entire week, we are talking about or we are focused on execution. Okay, week one, we talked about clarity. Week two, we talked about your content roadmap, planning. We talked about strategizing your content. And now this week, we're focusing on executing what we have already prepared over the last 2 weeks. Okay. So yesterday we talked about I gave y'all my 6 minute content planner framework and strategy and questions. Okay. And as you know, as customary, I don't take the time to go into full recap. That video is up. You can go to yesterday in order to watch that particular live and get all the gems that I dropped and all the sauce that I shared on that particular live. All right. So after you're done here, feel free to go on over to yesterday, and even if you're feeling froggy and if you got the time, go ahead and just binge watch and catch all the way up. So then this way, this particular day will make a lot more sense in the bigger scheme of your strategy, in the bigger scheme of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, being able to create more content faster, with clarity, with confidence, and be consistent most of all. Okay. So today, without further ado, we're going to be getting into how to batch create content working smarter and not harder. Okay. So now you're creating content every day, right? You may be creating content every day and it's exhausting. Can anybody testify to that? It's exhausting. You wake up thinking, and this right here is, for me personally, every for a very long time, every single day I woke up asking myself, what am I going to post today? Remember, we've been talking about getting out of this reactionary approach to our content. We want to become proactive in our content, right? We do not want to always be on our heels when it comes to content. We want to stay on our toes. We want to stay ready, right? And so when we are asking asking these questions of what am I going to post today, what am I going to, like, those type of questions are reactionary questions. Reason being, if they weren't, or if you were prepared, it wouldn't be a question of what am I going to post today, right? Because you already will have a catalog of things that you can post. You've already planned. You're clear. You've already strategized. You already have your content pillars. You know exactly what it is that you're going to be posting. And not only that, you also know what you've also assigned each one of those pieces of content a job or a purpose, right? That you are looking for to accomplish a particular thing. So now as we talked about, shout out to my first business coach, Marcus. He said that is not a posting to social media by itself is not a marketing strategy, right? It's not a strategy at all. Okay. This you post content is the last thing that you do. Posting your content is the last thing you do after you have solidified your strategy. Hold on a second. I think my audio is off. Sorry. Man, I'm glad. Ooh, Lord, thank you. Because I was on this whole live not realizing that my audio was horrible. Lord. All right, so okay, hopefully y'all should be able to hear me much better now. Y'all should be able to hear me much better. Okay, check one, check two. Okay, I see my levels. Okay, we good. All right, so we want to get out of this reactionary. We no longer want to be reactionary with our content. We don't want to be on our heels. We want to be proactive. We want to stay on our toes. And this is why planning, this is why strategizing, this is why being clear. All of these things are monumental building blocks to us being able to create content that is impactful and that also moves the needle as far as visibility goes with our brand and our business. Okay? When we ask the question of what am I going to post today, it automatically brings on it automatically honestly brings on a sense of or a degree of anxiety. What am I going to post today, right? With everything else that I got going on, family, business, my own personal well-being, whatever that happens to be, with all of the other things that you're juggling in a particular day, your calendar of your calendar, your to-do list is probably filled, right? Filled. It's like every single minute and second of every single part of your day is already spoken for. But on top of everything else, you got to ask yourself, what am I going to post today? That feeling of anxiousness and that feeling of uncertainty is what we want to get past and what we no longer want to experience. Okay? So we want to move into a space where we have already planned our content. We have already situated our content. We are already confident we have a batch of content. We have a catalog of content that we can literally pull from, right? So we're not asking ourselves, what am I posting today? From a place of anxiety, right? We can ask ourselves, what are we posting today from a position of confidence because we know we have a whole catalog that we could pull from, right? Because we've thought ahead, because we've planned ahead. So this is the strength of us using this method of batch recording, okay? A batch creating our content. So, what am I going to post today? Reactionary. We're trying to get proactive here with our content creation. You're always in creation mode, and you never get a break. I was posting at one point earlier on in my social media career, so to speak, and I was posting 3 times a day, and literally did not know what I was going to be posting for those 3 times. I would wake up in the morning. I'm not going to say petrified, but I was definitely anxious because the gurus that were coming across my feed at that time were telling me that I need to be posting 3 to 5 times a day. That's what I was told, and I believed it. I ate it up, right? And I then pursued trying to meet that quota of posting 3 to 5 times a day, but I had no strategy. I had no inclination as to who it was I was talking to or what I was trying to accomplish, or I was not assigning any purpose to any one of my pieces of content, and I was posting 3 to 5 times a day, and I went nowhere. I was not getting no likes. I wasn't getting no follows. It seemed like every time I posted, my numbers got worse. That's how bad it was. And I remember my cousin, shout out to my cousin Jason. He was like, "Yo, like, I see you putting in the work and posting." He said, "But like, there's no congruity with your posts." He's like, there's nothing that is in alignment. Literally everything that you're posting is random. And although I didn't want to hear it, although it kind of hit my ego a little bit, when I went back and I actually took that constructive criticism and I took a look at my profile from that lens, I was like, "Dag, he's right." Like, I'm posting a whole lot, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, my page looks crazy. I'm there's no congruity, there's no alignment. You know, I'm posting things that are polar opposites that don't have anything to do with each other, and I'm posting 5 times a day something, a completely different idea or a completely different thought, right? And that was killing me, because when people were coming to my page, they couldn't identify who I was. They couldn't identify what I can offer. They couldn't identify what it is that I even did. And to be honest, I think I told you, shout out to Marcus, my first business coach. He used to always say, a confused mind rambles. And that was evident in the earlier part of my social media career, because I was confused. And so my content reflected my confusion. And maybe you can testify to that. Maybe if you objectively and honestly looked at your page and saw it was random, that there's nothing consistent, there's nothing that there's no common thread, but you're literally your page is all over the place, your content is all over the place, your bio is all over the place, and nothing aligns. If you could objectively and take a step back and take a look at that and be realistic, I believe that you will be able to see or tell that you may be confused too. So you may be posting every day, but you may be confused. And that's okay, right? And this is what we're here to do, to work through that. But when you're constantly in content creation mode and you're asking yourself, what am I going to post, with no clue as to what you're going to post, because you haven't done the work that we talked about in week 1 and week 2, then now you don't ever get a break. Your mind is always on, because you're always in a position where you have to create something. And here is also what's dangerous about that. I've coached so many people who, and I'm not going to get to, because I don't want to give up what we're going to be talking about next week. Well, I'll talk about what we're going to talk about next week, or I'll give a little preview. But I've coached so many people who not only are in creative survival mode, but they feel as if they have to create something brand new every time they post. Every single post has to be a new idea. Every single post has to be a new style. Every single post has to be a new format, right? Because somehow, some way, they think that by not doing that, somehow they're going to bore their audience. And shout out to my guy Travis, my first content creation coach, him and Dan. Travis said that he said that virality has nothing to do with creativity and everything to do with predictability. That absolutely blew my mind. In essence, and then he went on to give the example of, he challenged me to look at my content as what he called it. He called it a channel, a TV channel, right? And when you want to see sports highlights, when you want to see sports commentary, when you want to see scores, when you want to see all of that, where do you go? To a sports network. You go to ESPN. You go to, let's say ESPN, right? You go to ESPN to get all of that information that you're looking for. Why? Because they're predictable. If you want to watch documentaries, right, and you want to get a historical perspective, you're going to go to where? The History Channel, right? If you want to see animals and wildlife, you're going to go to National Geographics. Why? Because they've branded themselves and became predictable. If you go to ESPN and you see a documentary on seagulls, you're going to be like, yo, am I on the right channel? You feel me? Because you're going to that channel expecting a certain type of content because they have proven to be predictable. And that's why people continue to come back to them. That revolutionized the way that I approach my content. I wanted to be predictable. We talked about bounded creativity a couple of lives ago. So I decided that I was going to get crystal clear on my message and what I do and how I help. And all I was going to do is figure out creative ways to talk about how I help and what I do. That's it. And so when anyone thought about content clarity, when anybody thought about strategy, when anybody thought about how to come up with simple ways for them to create content and to build confidence and clarity, they were going to think about me. And so when we are in creative mode all the time, and then we think, because I was there, that we have to come up with new formats and new concepts every single time we post something, then we are going to find ourselves anxious and frustrated all the time. All right, let me get back to these slides, man. It's late. Yeah, we gotta go to bed. All right, here we go. So you never get a break. Your brain never shuts off because you're constantly in content creation mode. Okay? This leads to burnout. And what do we say that we're trying to avoid? We're trying to avoid burnout by any means necessary. So you're making content decisions every day. Every day. People are telling you, man, you got to post, you got to show up, man. You got to post at least once a day. You got to post twice a day, 3 times a day. Like, you want to be top of mind. And you might have subscribed to that. But if you didn't plan, then how are you going to do that? When you're trying to make content decisions every single day, you got to do that times 3? You got to do that times 4? Or like what I was doing times 5? Do you know how exhausted I was? And at that time, I was working at a bank. I was working a corporate job. I sat on my behind all day. But I would come home, and because what I would do is I would think about what I was going to post that day from the time I dropped my kids off on the ride to work. And then on my lunch breaks, I would try to create all the content that I was going to post. And then once I created it, depending on what it was, I would try to start posting it towards the latter part of my day and try to have everything posted before I got home. That was exhausting. Exhausting. To get 2 likes and a comment. And like I said, like my first post would do okay, and then every other subsequent post from there did terrible. So you're switching between tasks constantly. You're working harder, not smarter. You have, as a business owner, side hustler, you may have a 9-to-5 job, and you may have your side hustle. You might be developing your side hustle, your side business on the side. And you have family, and you have things that you got to take care of yourself as far as your health and wellness is concerned. So with all these things that you have on your to-do list, all these other commitments that are jockeying for your attention and pulling you in a million different directions, on top of all of that, you also have to figure out brand new pieces of content or brand new content ideas to post that day. Can you imagine? And you may be doing that. And that's why content is falling by the wayside. This is why you're not showing up consistently. This is why the very thought of creating content exhausts you or gives you a level of anxiety. And this is what we're looking to remedy here. This is why this information is important, because we cannot, again, be reactionary when it comes to our content, because it only hurts us. It only hurts our ability to create. It only hurts our ability to be able to show up for our business and for our audience. It hinders us greatly from being able to do that. All right? So you're switching between tasks constantly, and you're working harder and not smarter. All right? And you see my man right here. He's just had it. He's had it up to here. You know what I'm saying? And maybe you've had it up to there too. All right? So here's the secret. Here's the secret, okay? Successful creators don't create content every day. They batch create their content. They create multiple pieces in one sitting, then schedule them out. Okay? Now, this is a big deal. Your favorite creator, the cat is now out the bag. Your favorite creator is not trying to come up with content every single day. They are not. Your favorite creator has done everything that I've taught you up to this particular point in time, and they've mastered their process and have a system in place that allows them to create content at a multiple clip. I mean, at an enormous clip, right? And allow them to schedule everything out in advance so they can focus on the moving the needle financially in their business, whether they're coaching, whether they're consulting, whether they got courses, whether they got digital products, whatever that happens to be. They can, in partnerships, brand sponsorships, all the brand partnerships, all of those things, they're able to focus on the income generating or revenue generating tasks. So once they take a moment, or they take a day or 2 days or whatever, I know it varies from creators. I have a couple of friends who are creators who have large accounts, and they take a day or two out of their week and they pump out as much content as they possibly can. They sit down. It's like one day they'll script all of their content, all of their ideas. They'll go ahead and dump it into into Notion, or they'll dump it into a some sort of Google Drive or Excel sheet, or they'll dump it into their notes on their phone, and they'll just brain dump all of their ideas. Okay, then they'll pick and based upon their content pillars, they already got content pillars. They already know their audience. They already have the clarity. They've already done all the work that I've taught you up to this particular point in time, right? And then what they then do is they take the best ideas within that are in alignment with their content pillars. They take the best ideas and they then script those ideas. They then record those ideas, whether that's carousel, whether that's a single post, whether that's a reel. They literally walk through the process that we walked through yesterday with the 6-minute planner, and they do that in one sitting, right? I have friends who are creators that, that their goal is they try to record 10, 20 pieces of content. If they have busy schedules, if they're traveling, or if they're on, if they're doing if they're doing a bunch of other different things, some of them, they try to take 2 days and they try to create 40 pieces of content where they are posting 2 times a week, or if they're 2 times a week, or if they're posting 1 post a day, right? Depending on whatever it is that they are promoting at the particular time. If it's a quote unquote off season where they're not necessarily promoting anything, they just want to kind of continue to re-engage people and engage people with what it is that they already have. They're continuing to, they already have their freebie, their email list, whatever that happens to be, and their focus is simply just marketing and pulling more people in via their freebie, and then upsell. And then they all have a whole system where they're upselling them on the back end. Once they've actually already established, all they're doing is basically continuing to use their content to nurture their audience and push them to the thing that they want them to actually get and sign up for, right? And so with that being the case, they can create 30 or 40 pieces of content and then simply post once a day or once a day, okay? And that will be enough for them to continue to maintain the cadence that they want and continuing to stay at top of mind and in front of their ideal audience, right? So they never are out of sight, out of mind. And they do this, and then they schedule everything out. So now they're not worried about, now they can again focus or refocus that attention and energy into other things, developing better products or enhancing their product or their service to better serve their communities. There's so many other things that they can focus on. With you and I, we have to adopt that same practice. We cannot not do the things that are working for those who are doing it well. Okay? And I study creators, I watch them, I keep an eye on them. I'm constantly studying their practices just to actually see, oh man, that's cool. Would that work for me? Right? I'm constantly checking, I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly assessing whether or not certain things that I'm seeing from creators will work for me. And if it does, I adopt them, right? What do they say? Imitation is the best form of flattery. So I'm not taking their idea and I'm not trying to be them. But if they have something if they have something that's working that I can use for me and really kind of put my own spin on it and make it unique to myself and to my audience, then why not, right? It's a win-win. But anyway, we have to adopt the things that are working for those who are doing it well. Okay? So they create multiple pieces in one sitting, then schedule them out. Okay? That's major. Now, what is batch creation? Great question. Creating multiple pieces of content in one focused session. All right? Instead of one post per day, instead of creating one post per day, then maybe in a session, your goal will be to create 5 or 7, right? You create 7 posts in one session. So, we talked about, beginning, if you're not used to planning out your content, I say stick to trying to planning out at least a week of content. So instead of you trying to create a piece of content a day, you take a Sunday or you take an off day and you say today is going to be my content day. And you are getting ideas, you're scripting your ideas, and then you're creating easy enough, you're building your ideas in a simplistic way where it makes it easy for you to be able to record it. It makes it easy for you, if you're doing carousels, it makes it very easy for you to be able to transfer that idea, transfer those concepts onto a carousel post or onto a single post. Okay? And you're beginning to train your mind to say, on this day, from this time to this time, I'm focusing on creating my content, period. Right? And it may take you an entire day. You may go to a coffee shop, or you may, go to a park or something where be in nature, or find a quiet place in your house. I used to create my content in my car because it was quiet. Right? Because as soon as I went into the house, I already knew it was going to be daddy, 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 daddy. So I would recreate content in my car, right? And that was a good place for me. I was able to, it was quiet, it was comfortable, right? It was good for me. So whatever it is that you have to do, go to a library, whatever it is, create a space that allows you to be able to execute. And you block out a couple of hours. And here's the thing. It'll take you longer at first in the beginning, but as you get used to it, and as we talked about yesterday with the 6-minute content planner, as you get used to it, you're going to be able to, the beauty of it is that you're going to be able to create just as much content in a shorter period of time. So ultimately, if it's 3 hours that you block out, you may only be able to get 7 pieces of content in that 3 hours, or 8 pieces of content in that 3 hours. But once you get good at it, and once you implement some of the frameworks that I've provided, and you get better with creating it, now you're going to be able to create 10 pieces of content in an hour. So if you're blocking out 3 hours, then you could get to a point where you're creating a whole month of content, particularly if you're only posting once a day for whatever reason, right? And that's fine, but you're able to have a piece of content for every day of the month. Can you imagine how much, and be able to schedule it out? Now, mind you, now can you imagine how much time that's going to save you in a month? Mind-blowing. Now, I want to talk a little bit about scheduling. Scheduling is not a cheat. It's not cheating. Scheduling is smart. That's how you work smarter, not harder. Instead of you going in and manually posting every single piece of content, you schedule out in advance. So now, before there were a bunch of third-party platforms that started to emerge, because at one point you couldn't post from a third party on Instagram or Facebook, I believe, for a very long time. So you would have to manually post all of your content. You could not use a third party because at that time Facebook and Instagram were two completely different platforms. But they would not allow you to schedule your content in another app, in a third party app, and for them to be able to communicate or give them permission to post it on Instagram. It's only as of late, maybe the last 5 years, 6 years, that this has been allowed. So much so that Meta created their own scheduling platform. So if you go to your Meta Business Suite, you will be able to schedule content through their content scheduling platform. And now you have in-app. I believe you can schedule content. You can schedule your content, your posts in advance on TikTok. You can do it right in the TikTok app, right in the Instagram app now. So, there are a lot of third party, like I believe Canva allows you to post now. Some of the AI platforms that I use allow you to actually post directly from the AI platform. You just have to connect your Instagram or connect your TikTok or connect your Facebook, and you can actually schedule it right from those particular platforms. So there is so many ways. I Go High Level does it. Like there's so many different tools that you can use to schedule out your content, right? There's a bunch of them, okay? There's a bunch of them. Or like I said, if you want to just use the in-app feature, you can use the in-app feature. But nonetheless, when we set aside a day and the time frame that we're going to use to create the content, then we schedule it out using the plethora, you like that word, don't you? The plethora of tools that we have at our disposal. The whole idea of this is to prevent burnout and give yourself a break. Yes, 3 or 4 hours may seem like a lot. That's like half of your day. However, the 4 hours that you're going to invest, I'm not even going to say spend, the 4 hours that you're going to invest in creating content for the week or for 2 weeks or for the month is going to save you so much more time. Why? If you spend 4 hours, in the case where you've gotten really good, you spend 4 hours creating a whole month worth of content. Okay? You don't have to revisit that again until the next or to the end of that month, so you're prepared for the next month. So 4 hours, those 4 hours that you invest is going to prevent you from having to spend 2 hours or more trying to figure out what you're going to post from day to day. So would you rather 4 hours to produce 10, 15, 20, 30 pieces of content 4 hours, right? Or would you prefer 2 hours a day trying to come up with a brand new idea? And that's the question that we have to ask ourselves. All right? So this saves you time, this saves you energy, and it helps you to stay consistent, which is our ultimate goal, right? So here's how you batch create, okay? Because you might be saying, yo, P, this is all good, but how do you do it? Got you. So you pick one day, okay? You pick a day and a time to create. Maybe a Sunday, 2 hours, 3 hours, or any off day that you have. Designate. I don't say don't kill yourself. So let's start with 2 hours, okay? Set your timer for 2 hours, and you don't even necessarily have to. All right, let me preface this by saying this. If you set out 2 hours, I'm not saying that you have to lock yourself in a room for 2 hours. Maybe you take 30 minutes to script, or 30 minutes to brainstorm, then you take a 10-15 minute break. Then you come back and you take 30 minutes, you pick your 7 best ideas, right, that are in alignment with your content pillars, and you script out. You take 30 to 40 minutes or an hour even, right, to script out those ideas. Okay? And then that's now an hour, and if you take an hour, if you take 40 minutes, let's say 45 minutes, okay? So 45 minutes to script out, so 30 minutes to brainstorm and get the idea and get your idea solid. 15-minute break, 45 minutes to script it, take another break, okay? So that's 45, that's an hour. All right, so that's an hour and 45 minutes. Okay, so let's go 3 hours, okay? Then, so now after you have scripted everything, take another 15-minute break, and then spend the last hour recording or creating your carousel posts or your single posts or your reels or YouTube shorts or whatever or your TikToks, whatever that happens to be, whatever content medium you choose, and whatever platform you choose. Then you go ahead and you take that hour and create that content. All right, and that's it. So you don't have to lock yourself in the room. You don't have to lock yourself in a room for 3 hours. You can take some breaks in between, right? But again, if you block out 3 hours and you structure it in that way, you've created 7 pieces of content, 10 pieces of content. And after you have done that, you might be so inspired by what you already created that you decide that you're going to create some more, right? So you get more bang for your buck. And again, once you schedule it out, these are posts that are going out every single day, and you don't even have to think about it. All you will have to do, however, is you do have to be mindful of the times that you've scheduled to post, so you can make sure that you're logging in at least 30 minutes to 15 minutes prior to the post actually launching, so you can engage with people. You can basically let the algorithm know. Let the app know and the algorithm know that you're live, right? That you're in here, you're commenting on other people's posts, you're liking other people's posts, maybe you're checking out their stories, whatever that happens to be. You want to make sure, you want to keep the social in social media, right? That triggers to the algorithm, that triggers to the app that you're on. Then your post hits, and then you want to stick around for at least, don't post and ghost. You want to stick around for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, just in case you get any comments, just in case you get any, people sharing your stuff to the story. You can big them up and share it back to your story, or all of those type of things. You want to make sure that you're present for that, so people feel as if you're posting and you're ready to engage with them. All right. So that's number one. Pick your daytime, all right, and block out 2, maybe 3 hours. I think that would work to get you started. Use your content pillars plus weekly plan. We talked about that last week when we went over your content roadmap. So you're gonna want to go back to last week's episodes, so week 2's episodes, so you can, if you're not familiar with content pillars, or if you're not familiar with how to draft a weekly content plan. Okay, number 3, you want to create 5 to 7 pieces of content in one sitting. Okay, 5 to 7 pieces. All right, That's a good place to start. 5 to 7 pieces. It may sound like a lot, but it's really not. When you have your content pillars, it's going to be very easy for you to come up with 5 to 7 ideas. Once you have come up with those 5 to 7 ideas and you script those ideas, then it's just a matter of you choosing how you want to communicate those ideas. In what content medium. Is that going to be in video? Is that going to be in writing? What is going to be audio? What is it? What is it that how do you feel is going to be best for your audience to consume that content? Okay. And lastly, number 4, schedule them out for the week. Work hard, work smarter, not harder. Okay. After you have created that content, the last piece is to schedule it out. All right. Schedule it, and you're good to go. All right. All right. So today's action step, this evening's action step is to batch is to get your first batch session on. This week, I want you to schedule one 2-hour batch creation session, at least 2 hours. At least 2-hour session. Okay. If you're feeling froggy, if you want to go 3 minutes, cool. Use your weekly plan from last week. Create 5 to 7 pieces of content in one sitting. All right. And here's what I want you to do. If you're down with this, if you're going to do this, and I highly recommend that you do, I want you to drop batch sessions scheduled in the comments. Show me that you just not talking about it, you being about it. Okay? Comment batch session scheduled. Right down here in the comments. All right? Batch session scheduled in the comments. Let me know that you about this life. Right? You're going to schedule your batch record session. You're going to identify your day off. You're going to block out that time, and you're going to go in. Right? You're going to lock all the way in. Batch, drop, batch, record, batch, schedule. What was it? Comment batch, schedule, batch session schedule. That's what I want you to batch session scheduled in the comments to let me know that you're about that life. All right? So that's it, beloved. I'm going to go to bed, and I'm looking to be with you again tomorrow morning. All right? I got some more work to do, so before I actually go to bed. So it's going to be a stretch, but I'm going to try to get back with you at 5 tomorrow. Tomorrow, just so you know, just to give you a sneak peek, we're going to be talking about how to repurpose your content like a pro. We're going to be talking about how to repurpose your content like a pro. So you want to tap into that. A lot of us have a lot of golden content. We got a gold mine sitting in our camera rolls. And we don't even know it. Right? We ain't even tap into it. But we stressing about what we going to post and not having new ideas and all of that. But we got gold mines. We got stuff that we've already posted that has worked. That we just consider it old, and we don't go back to visit it. We're gonna get into all that tomorrow. All right, so you definitely want to tap in. So 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you can't make it, that's cool. Catch the replay, and leave me comments. Any questions that you have, feel free to leave them in the comments. Connect with me on IG. All my information is in the bio here or in TikTok, whatever. All my information is in the description here, so you'll be able to get direct access to my pages. Go over there, give me a like. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this particular video. And listen, binge watch the week 1 and week 2, because it's going to make everything that we've talked about yesterday and today make sense. All right. So as customary, I'm gonna go ahead and pray over you and pray over your business. And yeah, that's going to be it until tomorrow, Lord willing. Father, we thank you so very much. I thank you for my brother and my sister on the other end of this, live. Lord, they have decided to tap in with me and be able to tap in with me and to hear what you have allowed me to learn, and now giving me the opportunity to share with them. So I'm praying as we continue to build our content creation muscle, Lord, that you will give us patience, that you will remind us that we ought to give ourselves grace as we are just looking to grow into utilize and put into practice these lessons and this advice and in these principles and frameworks that are being shared. And Lord, help us to just remember that, listen, it's not going to come overnight, right? It rarely does that happen. So I'm praying that you will give us the patience, that you will give us the stamina, that you will give us the persistence. I'm praying, Lord, that every need be met financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I pray for a special blessing over each one watching and their families, Lord, that you will meet with them, that you will converse with them, that you will give them wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and discernment, Lord, and direct their steps according to your plan for their lives. Lord, I pray that they will lack nothing, Lord, and we will all not hesitate nor forget to give you all the praise and the honor and the glory as blessings continue to flow in our lives. Correct us wherever we need to be corrected. Lord, forgive us for our sins and cleanse us of all unrighteousness. Anything that is standing in the way from you fulfilling your purpose in our lives, we ask that you will remove it, Lord. Hold us accountable so that this way we can make the adjustments and changes that need to be made in order for us to be more and more, to be molded more and more and shaped more and more in the image of Christ. So we thank you and we praise you for all that you have already done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, family. So tomorrow it is, Lord willing. Appreciate you tapping in. Peace.